Well, hello, Welcome to another Grumpy Gardener Medicine Show. And this one's all about pain. Now, depending on who you talk to, you may find that there are some people who think I'm a pain. But they don't have to watch the channel. Yeah, so I want to kind of talk about mostly how plants, relate to control of pain. Here we are in the wonderful joys of existence. So many pleasures, wow, the world feels good until we slam our motorcycle into the side of a school bus at 70 miles an hour. Whoa, does that hurt? I know, I've done it. Yeah, whoa, yeah, all the joy of existence comes out of you real fast when you start to experience a lot of pain. I'm sure almost each and every one of you has your own personal experience. Some of us have pain from birth all through our lives, depending. Others, pain comes later. For lucky people, it's only infrequent and just when you hit your thumb with a hammer, if you're not careful. But all of us experience it some way or another. Now, this is really mostly going to be discussing the type of physical pains, like when you stick yourself with a needle. But it's pretty hard to actually separate the difference between psychological, psychosomatic, and actual physical pain. They are often deeply interconnected. Yes. Anyhow, naturally, one of the couple of the first plants that come to mind, when we're controlling pain with plant materials, cannabis, of course, is very popular these days for that, and I will get to it. And of course, so are the opiates. Popular, I don't know about the word, but they're been heavily used for a long time. But they're well known. Lots of information on them. I don't need to say too much, briefly. But some of the things that we don't usually think about, maybe when it comes to pain control, aloe vera. Hey, this is a good plant that can be grown almost anywhere as a house plant and outdoors and in gentle climates, like Florida, California, Hawaii. Now, we don't ordinarily use it for things like arthritis or any kind of deep in-body pain. We use it mostly for topical pains, and particularly burns, and it works pretty darn well. It's a good solution. Only negatives with the stuff is that it's either certain growing cultures or certain varieties. I'm not sure on this. Stink worse than others. Yeah, so some of them will leave you smelly. My California aloe was pretty strong. Stuff I grew in the Midwest in pots was mild. Stuff I have here in Hawaii is fairly mild. The only negative I can think of, some people use this stuff internally. I do not. It's no. I've had people tell me it will grow hair, and no, I'm sorry, it doesn't. Oh. Well, turmeric. There's one for you. Now, we grow it here, fresh in the garden, and I use turmeric in my cooking, and I have found that fresh, raw turmeric, finely grated, at least the stuff we grow here on the island, it's mild, relatively sweet, and more carrot-like than bitter as far as its flavor. And so it's possible to even use it in something like a waffle. Yeah, that's what I've found. Put it in scrambled eggs for sure. And if you happen to have gotten your eggs from the store instead of from your neighbor, and the yolks are, almost the same color as the whites, the turmeric will pick them up. Yeah, it makes it look like country eggs. It really dyes them up. But turmeric's a real heavy anti-inflammatory. And of course, inflammation and pain, directly related. Now, I don't really think the plant has that much in actual pain relief like an opiate, but it reduces the inflammation, and inflammation increases pain. I saw a study a while ago about Alzheimer's in certain parts of India where they're eating turmeric and curry, 3 times a day almost, and the the chemical in turmeric accumulates in fat. It's fat soluble, and of course our brains are mostly a pile of gray fat matter. People in that region do not develop Alzheimer's to any extent at all, some of the lowest incidence on the planet, because of the amount of turmeric that's literally embedded in their brains, in the brain fat. Yeah, it resists the inflammation that might cause memory loss. Ginger, which is again another one in the turmeric family or the ginger family, they're all related. It's a pretty good topical painkiller, actually. Around here, one of the traditional, means for controlling pain in a wound and also flushing blood out of a bruise is to take a nice slice of fresh ginger, stick that on the bruise, and then tie a Hawaiian tea plant leaf around it to hold it in place. And it'll help increase the circulation in the area, draw the blood out, and it does have a reaction that will numb the area pretty well. So ginger is usable that way. Just be careful of it as a blood thinner. I have run into problems with this before. Ginger is powerful as a blood thinner, and if you overdo it and you have a tendency towards maybe you have some blood clots developing somewhere, just beware. Okay, be careful with it. I have a personal story on ginger and blood clots. Peppers, capsaicin. Yeah, capsaicin works really good topically, especially. It will not only block the chemicals that cause pain signals to be sent down nerves, but in itself it creates a numbing sensation. Now, of course, when you put it on your tongue, what are you talking about numb? Let's eat some ghost chili and die. But no, as a topical ointment, it's pretty good for arthritis and joint pains, and yeah, it actually does work. It increases circulation. It may even stimulate endorphin productions, which are body's natural painkillers. Yeah. Chew a ghost chili, you'll get plenty of endorphins, but you won't notice them. Bromin, yeah, as the pineapple people over here, we know all about that one. Pain in my body generally subsides considerably during pineapple season here because I eat so many pineapples. The bromelain is, again, another one of those very strong anti-inflammation compounds. And so it can be used that way when you have pineapple in your diet a lot, for at least the period of time you're consuming it, you may find your body pain reduces. Of course, there's classics, like willow, right? Willow bark. This is your salicylic acid. Aspirin. It's aspirin. And better tasting than willow bark for sure, because I've eaten this stuff, is wintergreen. Now, if you upper Great Lakes in Maine, all the way up into Canada towards Alaska, this plant because it tends to grow in regions like that. Further south, you probably only know it as a roll of Lifesavers or something on that order. Wintergreen is a low-growing plant, evergreen, even in cold climates and below the snow. It likes acidic, very well-drained soils. I find it growing, say, around the Great Lakes actually on granite, on debris on granite where there's a lot of pine needles and stuff. It'll grow even on a rock. It produces a lot of the same chemical that willow bark has. The berries are very agreeable. They're sweet, tasty, like candy. I used to eat them while fishing. If I was developing a headache, about 4 or 5 wintergreen berries was ordinarily enough to take out a headache. They're very tasty. One of the best tasting painkillers I've ever run across. Now there's a few over here, like feverfew, which has been historically used. I have never experienced it. Okay, everything else I've discussed so far is on my list of things that I've had experience with, but feverfew is not one of them. When it comes to the use of essential oils, though, there are quite a few that actually work as painkillers. Some, like lavender, for instance, while they're relaxing, they help remove headaches and induce sleep and so on. But there's evidence that rosemary, peppermint essential oil, and eucalyptus oil are also quite useful that way. Here I have a product, this stuff called muscle mist. This is crazy stuff, all right. It is based on, chemically, this stuff is, active ingredients are menthol and clove oil. Now, it also contains alcohol, water, eucalyptus oil, camphor, peppermint, and jojoba oil. But Ellen came home with a bottle of this one time. It was, I don't know, some local thing they had going on, craft shows or something. Somebody was selling this, and well, I'm going, yeah, right, sure, spray on stuff, okay. Well, it has a magic bullet. If you have things, you know, like arthritis type pains, sore joints, ligaments, that sort of a thing, you know, where the frame of the body is aching, this stuff really works. Yeah, I mean, there's very few side effects other than the smell, I guess. Smell of cloves and so on. It's not too bad. That's about it. And, the effect is maybe 2 hours or so. You know, it doesn't last all day. But, it works good. That don't smell too bad. I just got it on me. Yeah, that's if you're interested, this is not a commercial, okay? I don't advocate this, but this is Aroma Breeze, BREEZ.com, aromabreeze.com. You can get in there and find out about it. It's a good painkiller. I use it quite a bit. All right, so now I had mentioned two of the most common herbal painkillers, of course, the opiates, which are trouble these days, and boy, you can get in so much trouble for that stuff. It's Schedule 1, but the poppy is legal to grow in our gardens. Yeah, that's allowed because it's the bread seed. We eat the seed as bread. Now, I have a long history with this because where I grew up in Chicago, the neighborhood was predominantly German and Polish. And, well, these bakers in that neighborhood always used poppy seeds in almost everything. Poppy seed Danish, poppy seed coffee cakes. The rolls were covered in poppy seeds. In fact, if you have an official traditional Chicago hot dog, that bun better have poppy seeds on it or else. Okay. Well, they all come from Papaver somniferum, the opium poppy. And so it's got some real queer laws. Wow. It's just the strangest plant we have, I think, really, in that way. Because you can grow it. It's a beautiful plant. I don't think I know of any plant that comes to mind that is so it's just almost so schizophrenic in its personality. It's beautiful. Okay. We're attracted to it just because of the beauty of the flowers. It's a good-looking plant. It's relatively easy to grow. Well, it's got good food seeds, all right? So it's tasty. Very attractive thing. Now, the pain-killing aspect of this plant is merciful. Yes, I mean, it's an angel when it comes to relieving pain. On the other hand, the addiction is demonic. Destruction can come to your person because of excessive use of this plant because it's addictive. Yeah, you get started with it and it works pretty well, but unfortunately the amount you need keeps increasing, right? That's the problem because it tolerates fast. And it has a lot of bad side effects too, aside from the good one that it kills pain. I'm never really sure how I feel about the plant fascists having put a stamp on that one and saying, can't touch it, illegal. It is so handy. And I mean, if we were allowed, and we're not, to just, simply make a tea out of the flower heads from the garden, that's enough, plenty enough to give you some nice mild pain relief. It's a pretty strong plant. You don't have to go through the production of morphine. But on the other hand, I'm not going to even talk about how, but very simply, these things are turned into morphine in the kitchen. All right, so That's probably the concern. One of the easier plants I have run across for that purpose. Neither here nor there on that. Now, the cannabis is a little different because it doesn't have physical addictions. It will not wreck your life. You will not start shooting it up with needles or anything like this. I guess it's the biggest problem with this stuff is the government. And it's the plant fascists. Some places, a lot of places, they've let up. Some parts of the government, some states, and at certain levels, they've started to come to reality on this. Really, the cannabis plant is far more valuable and benign than it is dangerous. In fact, I can't think of a lot of dangers from it. That's a tough one. I mean, the stems are pretty stiff and fibrous. If you went after somebody whipping them with a stem, I suppose that could hurt. You make a bullwhip out of stuff, but it's only ridiculous. I smoke too much. You can cough. Yeah, you get sore throat. If you're smoking it, but you don't have to smoke it to get it to work. Now, of course, there are different strains of the plant, and in general, these things divide as indica and sativa. The sativas are more cerebral, but the indicas are more physical. They develop that couch lock that can kill pain. And so when you have a pain problem and you're going to ingest this herb, look towards the indicas. And, if you're in your medical pot shop, talk to the folks at the counter about which strain they have is better for that than others. They don't all relieve pain that well, okay? Not when they're ingested, but I have found that as topical applications, the stuff's amazing. Yeah. I had heard for decades and decades, about guys who'd, cook can of butter for their old auntie because she had arthritis, and then the auntie'd be busting a level 1 citation, schedule 1 citation because of her arthritis using cannabis liniment. But, well, I discovered for myself while making a batch of can of butter one time by hand, squeezing the butter out by hand, that all the stiffness and soreness and the joints in my hand, it was gone for hours. Yeah. If you have a oil-based liniment of cannabis, it is really a good topical pain reliever, particularly for things like joint pain. It might even work on things like headaches applied topically, depending on the type. This I've never tried, but I have definitely taken advantage of rubbing my hands and that stuff every time I get a chance to work with it and massage it in real good. Only negative side effect is your hands get a little greasy. I think any fat that will solidify at room temperature or refrigeration, rather, will work to make this coconut fat be pretty good if you're using it, for a liniment. Well, past that. Moving away from green plants, the mushroom, the magic mushroom, the psilocyberus stem, it's pronounced as psilocybe. That mushroom in itself is not a painkiller, but most pain stores within our body as physical trauma. We have a neural net. The body actually, in my opinion, has memory in every cell. It isn't just in the brain. All right. I've had this experience, and that really severe physical injuries oftentimes will store the same way psychological injuries will store. Yeah, we become mentally ill, our brains get a little twisted out of shape. Well, the body does the same thing, and it's interconnected. Yeah, I've had personally the experience of alleviating perennial ear infections by using mushrooms to find the physical trauma that was stored that was causing it, and it actually turned out that it was psychological trauma. I didn't even have a physical injury that was causing physical pain in my ears for years. Well, mushrooms have that ability, and in some places in the United States today, and in parts of Europe, this is permissible that we use these medically. Where you can, I highly advocate with the help of professionals who might be able to guide you to this, because it's not the easiest thing to find, you know. But with someone who's in touch with this, they can help you root out long-standing physical pains, because they may have psychological roots. And the mushroom is a very strange key that can unlock these things. So, past that, then, leaving plants and fungi, that brings us to acupuncture, which doesn't have a lot of side effects. All right, there's no harm in attempting to use acupuncture to cure physical pains and problems. It isn't always effective, and it depends who you are and how the nature and who your practitioner might be, I'm sure. I don't have a lot of experience with it personally. The few times that I have tried it, it was for headache, and they failed. Yes, I spent an hour laying there with needles stuck in me and my head still pounding. And so ancient Chinese medicine practice, no good for a good old Yankee headache, as Charlie Chan might say. That's racist, huh? Shouldn't do that. But, yeah. But my partner Ellen uses it successfully. She has a problem with restless legs, and it does seem to work. Now, this is not really a pain, but it's a neural thing, and it does seem to function. And so this is also another thing, you know, looking into. Of course, we got meditation and all kinds of other things that move on out from this, you know, that are less direct than rubbing something on your hands. Personally, I kind of prefer the things you rub on your hands because they're simple. Alrighty, aloha, folks, and Grumpy Gardener has done talking about pain, and if you ever notice that I don't look like I'm smiling all the time, you know why. The older we get, the more things break down, and the more we can actually deal with pain on a permanent and perennial basis that actually never really goes away, only rises and falls. And it can affect the mind can affect the body, and vice versa. It's all one package. Hang loose.